Aaron Weber here to discuss with you the Unicity Franchise Compensation Plan, the principle and component called Faststart. I'm going to assume that you have your first month end set as a manager. That's your goal. I'm going to assume that you're dead right in having that goal, and I certainly would recommend you do that. As a part of a fast start, which is coming in, making manager, and finding and helping others do the exact same thing, we want to reward those key activities. We want to reward your starting right or starting strongly. We want to reward your bringing in new people, compounding and leveraging those efforts. And we want to help you, reward you, by helping them start strongly themselves. Begin that pattern, not just of what you do, but more importantly, how it's done and when it is done in the life cycle of both you and your people. To recap, first of all, you want to complete your first month as manager. You can buy it or build it, and we've demonstrated those paths in previous presentations. That benefit, that completion, enhances your rewards forever going forward. You have locked in some rewards, and you have access to rewards that you only get by checking that box. And most importantly, beyond the economics, it sets a pattern of duplication. It begins this habit, this pattern for you and for your people as you all start moving forward, doing the same thing the same way in a duplicatable way. Well, phase one, fast start, building your foundation. Fast start is broken into two areas, a standard area and a builder area. You get paid 2 levels from the new volume, and then 6 what we call infinity shares. We'll show you briefly how that works in the next slide. It's locked in when you make manager or junior manager in that first month. The two options are this. You can see in that grid there, the builder on the far right-hand column. To qualify builder, you've got to have 125 PV and 1,000 TV in 1 month. If you make manager on the buy it or build it path, it will check that box automatically for you. The value there is that you get a 30% return on anybody you bring in on their first month's volume. If you don't quite get that in any month, you get the standard option, which only gives you a 15% return on that exact same volume. You're doubling your return by virtue of making and doing what is only the right and correct and appropriate activity in the very first month. First 2 levels are paid on levels. I sponsor you, I get 30% of your first month's volume. You sponsor someone else, I get 5% of that someone else, and you would get 30% of them. The ranks, as illustrated there, beyond us as we go up from that volume, are paid at 3% on the Infinity Share program. Let me give an example of that in a working example sense. Here is a new manager. It's come in with 1,000 points. They've decided to set the goal as manager first month. They've decided to go the buy it route. Well done, gold star on them. You are the person that brought them in. You're also a manager because you did the exact same thing. And more than likely, the reason that your new person did what they did is because you did that and demonstrated that to them by virtue of how you walked and how you talked. You get paid 30% on their 1,000 points of volume, $300, for doing the right thing and being with them and working for and with them in that first month or two as they move forward. I sponsored you. I'm a manager or above as well. I get 5% on that volume. I get $50. I'm not as involved as you, so therefore the reward isn't as great, but I also have a number of other people I'm working with, and the aggregations of those 5% certainly add up. Then a line is drawn. Those first 2 are paid just based on levels of connection or genealogical levels. Beyond there, it's paid in infinity shares, which is our usual compression model, and it is demonstrated better and more extensively in the business building video vignette, but for here we'll provide a summary. From senior director to executive director to presidential director to sapphire, ruby, and diamond, they each receive each of those requisite ranks as the computer looks for that next rank up as it moves up from the volume, are 3% of that 1,000 points. Now, sapphire, ruby, diamond are a long way up from there, and 3% may not seem like much. $30 is great. It may buy you lunch. But when you have dozens or hundreds or maybe even thousands of people beneath you doing that new manager 1,000 points, times that by 3%, and you can see that that is a significant reward and yet another reason to move through the ranks to receive ongoing significant leveraged rewards. So how does it work? Well, it's paid on all first month volume of people you bring in, up to 1,000 points per person. Beyond that 1,000 points, it's paid on the, shall we say, normal compensation plan. It helps folks do as you've just done. It helps set that pattern of duplication. It helps reinforce this principle of what gets rewarded is what gets done. We want the right things done, therefore we reward the right things well. It can also be paid weekly. So my strong advice to you is to get those requirements met, particularly your auto ship of 125 PV, get that set up in the very first week. For if you sponsor someone in the very first week, that fast start can be paid out immediately that following week if you have that auto ship already established and shipped. So what do you do now? Well, make your lists. Make the list of the people that know you, make the list of the issues that you're going to help resolve for them, and find and help folks do what you've just done. Work with them to then duplicate that activity yet again. But don't forget, Fast Start is not all.